once perceived as a cure for America's oil crisis, ethanol now being blamed for everything from global food shortages to price inflation to you name it. Here to give us his take on what's fact and what's fiction, a man with a vested interest in promoting ethanol, Bob Dinneen, President and CEO of the Renewable Fuel Association. Bob, thank you very much for being with us.
Mark, thank you for inviting me. This network seems to spend an awful lot of time denigrating ethanol, so I appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk to you a little bit about it.
Of course, you will not do that unchallenged, but you are welcome to go ahead.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about the fact that, I know people on your side tend to downplay the food versus fuel battle, but especially with damage to the crops in the Midwest through flooding, isn't that exactly what we have here?
No, what we have here is a food price inflation issue that needs to have very serious attention. But that means that we ought to be looking at the real issues and not trying to scapegoat ethanol because it's in somebody's agenda. The fact of the matter is food prices are being driven by rising demand, by weather across the globe, by speculation in the marketplace, and don't forget, certainly, about oil. Yeah, all right. Well,
let's stick with corn for a moment. It's my understanding about a quarter of the U.S. corn crop goes to ethanol. Is that correct?
Well, last year, 22% of the corn crop went to ethanol. But you have to remember that when we process corn into ethanol, we're only using the starch. All of the protein feed value of that corn is still there and is fed to livestock and poultry across the country.
Yeah, understood. But if you take a quarter of a crop away, you've got to be impacting it dramatically.
You're impacting corn prices, but you're not necessarily impacting food prices very much when the farmer is only getting 19 cents of every dollar that goes to food prices. So our impact on food is small. The USDA says about 3%. I think that's probably about right. When you think that each food item travels on average 1,300 miles before it gets to the grocery shelves, clearly the skyrocketing price of diesel and gasoline is having a far greater impact on food price inflation today than an increase in commodity prices.
What about our reliance on corn? A lot of people, critics of corn-based ethanol, say, look at Brazil where they process sugarcane and they get, I don't know, some multiple of energy more than they get out of corn. What about that?
Well, I think sugar-derived ethanol is fabulous. I think corn-derived ethanol is pretty darn good, too, though. And corn is what we grow here, and we grow it very well, and we can grow more of it, and we're going to be.
How and when are we going to?
Well, you talk to companies like Monsanto that suggest that you can get yield increases. Instead of 150 bushels per acre, we can soon get 200, 250, 300 bushels per acre. But that also misses the point because our industry is evolving today. We're evolving to different feedstocks. We're evolving to different technologies. The ethanol industry you see today will be unrecognizable 5 years from now. And the important point is not to get too distracted with, the manufactured hysteria that's out there today and keep focused on the very real need that we have for energy diversity. We need all sources of energy today. We're looking at $140 a barrel oil today. How can we be saying, but we don't want to have this alternative, or we don't want to drill here, or we don't want this energy source? We need it all, and ethanol, as 7% of the U.S. motor fuel market today, is going to be a critical component of the future.
All right, we have to leave it there, Bob, but thank you very much. Appreciate you sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Bob Dinneen.
Well, later this morning, there could be news to help cure the headache being